So the Super Mario Brothers movie is a movie about, well, the Super Mario Brothers. Stars Chris Pratt, Charlie Day, Anya Taylor-Joy, Jack Black, Keegan-Michael Key, Seth Rogen. And when Mario and Luigi find themselves transported to the Mushroom Kingdom, they have to team up with all these other characters, including Princess Peach, Donkey Kong, to take on the legendary Bowser before he, concocts his evil plan in this movie, so on and so forth. So, Super Mario Brothers, I do like the Mario Brothers. I do like playing the games a lot. And it was definitely one of the first games I kind of would play growing up and such. So when I heard that there was another movie coming out, I was a little bit nervous for a few reasons. Number one, obviously the first original live action movie is not very good. It's just atrocious. It's not worth it. And also because Illumination was doing the movie, and Illumination for me is kind of hit or miss. Sometimes they really hit it out of the park. Sometimes, a lot of the times, they just kind of fall flat. Like most of the movies I look at, and that movie wasn't very good. So I was definitely kind of worried about that. The casting was kind of iffy overall. Like some of them sounded pretty good, like Jack Black and Charlie Day. Some of them not so much, like Chris Pratt. But the trailers looked fun, and it kind of looked like it was going to be maybe the Lego movie, but for the Mario Brothers. And I was definitely looking forward to seeing this movie. So what did I think about the movie? It's not great, but I'm not really upset that it's not that great. I kind of figured this movie wasn't really going to be made for critics. It was definitely going to be made for people who are fans of playing Mario, and for that I can definitely see people liking it. But if you're not a fan of this franchise at all, then don't watch it. So what did I like? Well, the animation is really good, and I do like a lot of the detail that is in the animation. Also, the voice acting for the most part is pretty good, particularly from Jack Black. I thought he was really good as Bowser. Charlie Day was pretty good as Luigi, and Keegan-Michael Key was pretty good as Toad. There's another character in there played by Juliet Jelenik. I'm mispronouncing that, but her character, when you find out her character, it's in a prison scene. You'll know when you see it. I thought she did a really good job too, and I thought she got the biggest laughs of the entire movie for me. I don't know why, but that was really funny. The score of the movie I thought was pretty good. It had a lot of had a lot of the music from the games in there, and it definitely is a movie that's made for the fans. As you can see, there are a lot of Easter eggs in this movie, which I thought was kind of fun, watching the movie, but also looking for all the Easter eggs, or maybe it's a line of dialogue or something that's oh, I get that reference or something. That was a lot of fun to do. And admittedly, I did laugh through this movie. I think that's really the important thing. I guess this is a movie that I feel could have easily just been, just run-the-mill kids movies. They didn't even try, but it's you can definitely tell that the people who made this movie, they definitely do like the game a lot, and they do like the character of Mario. They do like this world, and they want to do it justice. Also, admittedly, Chris Pratt is not terrible in the movie. He's not great in the movie, but he's not terrible in the movie. I can say he's not the worst person in this movie. Anya Taylor-Joy, I thought she did an alright job. Not really bad per se, but she doesn't really have enough of a character to really do much. So, who is the worst person in this movie? Seth Rogen. It was just Seth Rogen. It's just Seth Rogen just saying he's Donkey Kong, and you can hear him laugh in the movie, and I'm you really couldn't get anyone else? Okay. And, admittedly, I like Seth Rogen, but, come on. And admittedly, some jokes kind of do fall flat. It's kind of hit or miss with the jokes. Sometimes I'm okay, that's really funny. Or it's oh, it's really funny because that's an Easter egg or something. But I didn't laugh. I didn't laugh half the time. Sometimes there would be a joke and I'm that's not really that funny. Or maybe it's because it was a joke that I saw in the trailer and it just wasn't as funny as it was in the trailer. Or maybe it wasn't even funny in the trailer and they just kind of showed it again. And I'm that's not really that funny. And also, I didn't really care for the soundtrack. Well, the score is great, and it kind of just, uses the Mario scores a lot. I just didn't care for the soundtrack too much. They use a lot of random songs in this movie that I didn't really care for, to be honest. And also, with Shazam! Fury of the Gods, this is the second movie in the span of a month that has used the song, I Need a Hero. Holding out for a hero till the end of the night. Admittedly, it's a fun sequence, but I'm you really can't think of another song? Okay. This is also the second Chris Pratt movie to use Mr. Blue Sky at one point. Which, again, you really couldn't do something else? Come on. And also, something that kind of annoyed me with this movie was that, obviously the movie's called Super Mario Brothers, and they have this whole theme about how it's important that the brothers are together and how their bond is strong. and yet they're separated for about 2/3 of the movie. And I just thought that didn't really work out for me. Like, there were so many times in the first 20 minutes and then the last 10 minutes where they're like, our bond is great, our bond is strong. I'm like, really? Is it that great? Like, is it that strong? You aren't really together for the movie for the most part. So that kind of annoyed me. And it also really annoyed me that even though Charlie Day is really good as Luigi, he's not really in the movie too much. A lot of his scenes are kind of in the trailer, and I felt like he was just gone for like basically the second act entirely. Like at one point, like when it actually cut back to Luigi and his storyline, it's like, oh right, I forgot Luigi was in it. The other Mario brother is in this movie called the Super Mario Brothers movie. And some things in this movie kind of just happen, and they don't explain why they happen. Like there's a rivalry between the Mario brothers and someone else at one point in the real world. Never explained. There's a rift between Mario and his family. Barely dived into. Actually, not even barely dived into. Just not even dived into. And it kind of just felt like some things just kind of happened, but they don't explain why they happened. And there's a difference between that. The difference is that, like, you can say that something has happened versus explaining why this thing happened. And this movie just didn't get that. But, you know, I shouldn't really be complaining too much because this is a movie that's not necessarily garnering towards the critic in me, but going towards the the Mario fan in me. Like, I still love the games, still love playing them from time to time. The movie itself is just kind of so-so. If I'm looking at this as a Mario fan, then this is definitely a worthy movie of the title. But at the same time, as a critic, I'm like, this movie's not really that great because I can see so many of the problems and they're just so fixable in this movie. So overall, even though the animation's pretty good, the voice acting is decent for the most part, and the score is really great, and the Easter eggs are just great. There are so many where I'm like, okay, that's a really good Easter egg. And admittedly, I did laugh throughout, but I just didn't care for some of the other voice actors. Some of the jokes fell flat. Some things aren't explained well. The soundtrack's not that great. And again, separating the Mario brothers, separating them, and having a theme about how it's important to be together just doesn't work. So, the Super Mario Brothers movie, I'll give it 2.5 out of 4 stars. Stream it. Obviously, if you're a fan of Mario, then go out and see it. If you're not, then you're probably not going to like this. So, I can at least say it's definitely better than the live action movie. That's without a doubt. So, what's your favorite Mario game? Comment down below, subscribe to the channel. This is Pat. Stay safe.